Right. G'day, I'm Dennis. But today I'm not Dennis, I'm MILTON SMIRK. I'm going to talk about oranges and God. Haven't got home here. And coffee and sex. Now the thing about oranges, I think that's got nothing to do with sex, eh? And it probably hasn't, but you know, my wife brings these in to me every morning. And you know, oranges. They're bloody amazing. I mean, lovely things, eh? But I just wondered to myself this morning, because I was thinking about strange stuff, as you do while you're waking up, and I wondered how the bloody trees, the orange trees, figured out how to get that bloody orange juice inside these things. And you know, this stays fresh for quite a long time. You know, you don't have to have it in the fridge. It's nice if it's in the fridge. Beautiful. From this to that to that. And so I was thinking about, you know, I've got to wipe my mouth now. I was thinking about how a tree figured out how to make a friggin' orange. And you know, if you take all the oranges off the tree, what does it do? Next year it just grows a whole lot more. Pretty amazing stuff. And so then I thought, did God do that? Because, you know, someone had to. But, you know, I don't believe in God, so that's a real problem. And I sort of don't believe in religion either. And in coffee, you know, I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll make myself a coffee and drink it while I'm telling this story. And then I thought about the coffee as well, you know. See, I use a little bit of this. My home thing, coffee, what's it? And a little bit of this. And then I put in too much sugar. Too much sugar, love it, hey. And bit of hot water. It's over here. It's already hot. I hotted it up in the kettle. Little bit of milk out of the fridge. The fridge, the fridge. Everybody's got a fridge. So there, cold milk cools the coffee down a bit too much, but whatever. And so, the coffee's really nice, eh? I love it. I only let myself have one every day, either Dennis or MILTON. Doesn't matter who I am on the day. Yum. So, well, see, I made this, but a fucking tree made this. And so then I got to thinking about God again, who I don't believe in. And you know, that naturally led me to sex. I thought about sex, you know. I remember when I was at school, I got taught by nuns in a Catholic school, and brothers and priests. They spent a lot of time telling me sex was bad. You know, we got the most thorough sex education you could ever get. You know, they talked about you know, they were talking to us little kids at 5 years old about virgins, for God's sake. They had statues of a virgin. And so we sort of knew what a virgin was. It was a lady with long clothes on, blue and white. And sometimes she had a circle around here. Light and neon. And then they talked about priests and nuns and having vows of chastity. So you had to figure out what chastity meant and virgin. So yes, Milton. What's a virgin? They'd go sort of very strange trying to explain to you what a virgin was, because I think that most of them consider themselves to be one. Probably were. Some of them looked like they were destined for virginhood. Poor ladies. And those, priests, it sort of didn't seem right for a priest to be a virgin, because virgin seems to be very feminine to me. And so they talked about celibacy. What's celibacy? Oh, well, celibacy is kind of restraint, remaining a virgin. Beat around the bush with all that. So in the process of all that nonsense, we got a thoroughgoing sort of, you figured it out eventually. I mean, you sort of didn't figure out sexual intercourse from what they were saying, but you knew that whatever they were talking about was the thing that girls kept in their pants. And so, that was kind of odd, because, you're sort of told about all this amazing stuff that happens in their pants, but, but it's all forbidden. And I kind of didn't, I just found it difficult to believe any of it. It was impossible to believe, and I wondered why all the grown-ups believed that stuff. And so, but eventually, I came to quite like coffee. And then around that time as well, I came to understand that, I was a little bit sexually driven, I reckon, when I was sort of 6, 8, I don't know. And so, and they've got all this entire education system telling you it's all wrong. Can't do any of that. And I thought, well, but God made us. They told us that God made us. The big G, God. He made everything. He made the orange, and he made the stuff that makes the coffee that I just put in the thing to make, refine the job. And he invented our bodies, and he certainly made them all work, and they all work the same. They're all a bit interested in sex. And so, and then later on, when I was sort of 15 and 16 and no longer a virgin, I kind of thought, well, that was fun. That's here to stay. I'm going to do that a lot. And so, I sort of devoted a fair bit of time and attention to that. But that memory of God and all that sort of forbidden stuff stayed there inside my head a little bit. Because it was indoctrination. It was full on sort of 10 years of indoctrination. 10 years, 5 to 15, yeah, well, I suppose it was 10 years. And, you had all these people with great gravitas telling you that sex was really bad and that they didn't have sex and they therefore remained virgins and didn't have children. And you eventually connect. Tell you what, sure as hell connect children with pregnancy and sex at one point in your life when suddenly someone's pregnant. But anyway, so the thing was that you sort of go back to that original thought, and that is that God made everything. So he made all that sort of, he made us, made everybody the same to enjoy sex. Part of us all. And we've got these idiots in religion telling you it's bad and you shouldn't do it and whatever, it's all forbidden. And they build churches to it, great big churches to this idea that all thought up by men, it didn't take me, I reckon I'd figured it out by the time I was about 8, that all those rules were made up by humans, not by gods, by humans. And so I always questioned God. Because I reckon, and they used to tell us that God knew every single thing you did or thought or planned or anything, but thought. He knew all your thoughts. There's people in government right now that love to know what I think and what you think. But anyway, I shouldn't talk about government and God in the same breath. And so, because, like I said, this is experimental journalism. and so, I used to forgive myself for screwing as many people, metaphorically speaking. I mean, I used to forgive myself for chasing a bit of nookie by telling myself that God intended it that way. I'm sure he did. Because why would he sort of give you all that equipment and also all that desire and all that fun if he hadn't intended it to be so? And so why is it that a whole bunch of these people put on black robes, wander around the place telling you shouldn't do it? Dumb as dirt. And here I am, I'm 81 now. Somewhere along the line I've got 6 kids. And so I sort of knew how to do it. But, really, when it comes right down to it, this whole business of religion is very, very questionable. And I just thought that I'd quite like to make a video that questions it, and questions it with plain logic, because I sort of like to be a little bit logical about things. And so it seems to me that, that whole business of building a great big church to celebrate something is very interesting. And so the other thing that I was thinking this morning while I was thinking all these subversive thoughts was about what they put in churches. Well, I think I'm going to show you something that they put in churches. Not quite sure how to do this. I've got to be really careful. This could be costly if I drop something. Put the orange over here. I'm really surprised that people don't worship these things for what they can do. Oh, orange. And lemon and honey. Geez, I get spoiled, eh? And coffee. It's wonderful. And then there's this over here. Hang on a minute. Now look, they put stuff like this in churches to give them great. It gives them more gravitas, But see, this is quite heavy. 2 ballet dancers, beautiful, beautiful. This is what humans are like. Now I made this out of this stuff here. So here's a little bit of it. You can make stuff out of it, right? And so somehow, without anybody ever teaching me, and this is not boasting, this is just lots and lots of people in the world can do this. But I got pictures of these 2 people, and I spent a bit of time with them. And the reason I've got them, I just think the human body is so goddamn beautiful. And so these were 2 principal dancers from the New Zealand Ballet Company. And what I did, their names were Martin James and, what's her name? Second name is Jamison, I think. That's really remiss of me to know. It'll come to me. And so here's all these delicate shapes that humans have, So, it's astonishing that people sort of pop out looking, and grow into this. And so you can see why I've got them to when I started posing this bloody thing, you can see why I got to use tights, because, you know, you can see the wonderful shape of their bodies. And so, but the point is, a human made this, right? Mind you, they can't talk to me or anything, but they sure as hell, you know, I used to love Michelangelo, Botticelli and all these wonderful artists, because they did this kind of stuff. And you know, and so I decided I'm going to do that too. And then I realised that I could. And I suppose the point I'm trying to make about that is that those churches rely on people like me, who are basically heretics, to create stuff like this out of a knowledge of the human body, you know. And you can't do this. You just can't. You wouldn't be able to do this unless you had a thorough knowledge of the human body, and unless you thought that it was a beautiful thing, you know. And so, thinking it's a beautiful thing sort of runs a little bit against, you know, churches and Catholicism and whatever, because, you know, it sort of also suggests desire, which, you know, was one of the things that they used to talk about when I was a kid at school. You're not supposed to have, you know, desire, but, you know, desire was inherent in you. So, you know, basically, what have you got? You know, you've got huge organisations with vast amounts of money who can pay people like Michelangelo to do. I mean, this is a tiny little thing. Michelangelo did, you know, some astonishing sculptures and whatever, and also some of the others. You know, there's things like the Ecstasy of St. Teresa. Go and put Ecstasy of St. Teresa into Google, and she's in the Vatican. The Ecstasy of St. Teresa, you know, and it's sort of a woman who's lamenting the death of Christ. But at the same time, it looks like a woman in the throes of an orgasm to me. And you know, and I kind of think it's deliberate, because I think that maybe some of those old artists thought the same way as I did. And that was that we should be glorifying some of this sort of stuff instead of condemning it. And so I'm getting into the swing of this now. But, you know, stop and think for a minute. Geez, I like coffee, hey? And so, you know, the marvel of this, you know, I would sit there, this took me weeks. Well, of course it took me bloody weeks. But, you know, I knew that this was at the end of what I was doing, if you know what I mean. I think this is the best piece of sculpture that I ever did. I mean, I've done other things, and here's one here. This is a sculpture that I did. It's a beautiful thing. I actually copied it from some Art Deco pictures, you know. We sold lots of those. And so I was doing it for money, but I was also doing it for my little bit of glory, you know, because this is my legacy. It's what I'll be remembered for, I think. This kind of thing. And I was prepared to take on anything. And one of the things I took on was that Te Kuiti Shira. It's the biggest sculpture in New Zealand. And but, you know, that sort of creative process, it sort of tends to bring out other things in your brain. And, you know, my brain questions everything. It questions politics, and it questions knowledge, and it questions religion, and it questions God, and it questions the bloody universe, you know, because it's all fucking amazing. And it's way more amazing, way more, you know, this bloody simple thing like a fucking orange that's full of juice comes off a tree and gives me a bloody little bit of delight every morning is much more of a miracle than this. I know exactly how I did this, but fuck knows how a tree did that. So, you know, I like the questioning of what the hell is life is all about. And so I thought I'm going to stop this in a minute. I thought about that this morning, and I thought I need to make a video about that and see if it can lead me and my brain to somewhere else. Because I do think that humans need to have another look at religion. Because as it is, it's bullshit. Religion is bullshit. And so, you know, I mean, it's a what do they call it? It's a heretical thing to say. You know, they've developed a whole bloody language around all that. They've developed a whole language about telling you what you cannot do without recognizing that there are things you were designed to do. And you know, in the case of sex, it's a thing that you were expected to do. Because if you didn't do it, we wouldn't be here. Fuck me dead. Excuse me. I always fall back on bad language. I'm naughty man. Naughty man.